Welcome back to our perspective drawing series and our focus on 2-point perspective. This is part 2 of the part of 2-point perspective where we're focused on circles, ovals, spheres, round objects, tubes, cones, things like that. All right, and how to draw them. So I've already covered this topic in 3-point perspective, but I'm covering it again here in 2-point perspective with a few added details like the spheres. I didn't mention the spheres in 3-point perspective, and so we're going to go ahead and show how that stuff works in 2-point perspective right now. So here are the spheres I talked about in part 1, right here, the two balls and whatnot. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that, and we are going to jump right in. So first of all, these boxes that I've drawn in orange are going to contain the spheres that I'm going to draw on here, okay? And we're going to talk about how to handle spheres in this perspective space, okay? But first of all, I'm going to bore a hole through this block here, and we'll see how that's going to be done. So let me jump right in here and get that done, get that started. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use the blue pen to construct where I want to put that hole. Okay, I sort of want to put that hole somewhere in the middle. So what I'm going to have to do is do a little quick construction here. And since I want my hole to be perfectly circular, I want to come up with something that is basically square-ish, or square in perspective. Okay, and so what I'll do is let me place, get a perpendicular line right about here, and another one right about here. This is looking kind of square-ish, like so. All right, so that's my square, and what I will do is go ahead and connect that to the other vanishing point. That's a little off. I don't like that. Come right on there, like so. And there we go. Okay. Let me take care of that inner line as well, because that's I'm going to need that for construction purposes. All right, so what I want to do too is make sure I get that bottom, that base as well, or the line that corresponds with that base. Like so. All right, and so let me just, with the pencil, just mark that baseline, that and that, so I can keep track of it. And so where this intersects with that, let me put that in there as well, B. Where it intersects with that, and where this intersects with that baseline right there, well, yes, that baseline, that's B as well. So when I strike a line up, this one, I'm able to map out the corresponding square. So we have this square here, follow that where it intersects here, and where this, okay, this sort of runs along this line, so I mean, I don't like that that happened, but that's what we've got. And it lines up with the second vanishing point over here. So let me draw that properly, make sure it's clear. And we've got that corresponds here. Do not get these two mixed up. Okay, so at that point, let's see. All right, this is here. Go follow that right there is where it should happen. Excuse me. Sneeze. All right, so we've got this square and we've got this square right here, okay? So now that we've got that, I'm gonna go ahead and get my center point. I'll do the same thing over here. I should be using my small ruler. It's a little more efficient. So I've got my center point, and I'm not going to rule a line. We're getting enough lines as it is, but if I line it up with my long ruler from vanishing point 1, if I strike a line through, it intersects that center, intersects that center, so everything is nice and accurate right now, the way we want it to be. And what we want to do next is line up the center and strike a line through the center line, a horizontal line, and have that line up with vanishing point number 2. Okay, and we want to do the same with the other one. So I'm imagining a circle being bored straight through this block. If it was only going halfway, I probably wouldn't go through this trouble. Or I would, but then I'd probably position this inner construction for like maybe in the middle of this block somewhere. Wouldn't be at the other side of the wall, other face of the cube. Okay, and then with the vertical, again, I don't have to worry about a third vanishing point, so I'll just plug that in there from the top of the cube to the bottom like that. I'll do the same thing here. Whoops. Like that, I guess. Let me plot this correctly. I'm going to get a double line, so you guys will have to excuse me. I sort of I was a little too hasty there. So it should be right there. Okay. So, all right. So with that in place, basically I'm gonna have a curve come through here, cut through here, cut here, cut here, cut here, cut here, and cut here, or intersect here and here. Okay, so that's what I should be getting. Something like that. Okay, not too crazy about that for whatever reason, so let me try that again. Mainly because this is more sort of elongated like that, and I'm thinking it should be more like that. So let's see if I can get something more like that. And you know what, when in doubt, use reference. So let me see if there's something cylindrical nearby. And based on the way I'm looking at it, it should be sort of more like that. So it's actually, let's see. So I was sort of on the right track here with this. It's not as straight up and down as I thought it would be here. It's more like this, but it needs to be, this needs to be a little more like that. Okay, so again, never be afraid to use reference from real life to help you get something correct. Okay, but we're going to use that in conjunction. We're going to use that reference in conjunction with our construction here. So So what's working is me keeping this portion a little wider. I think in the first one it was coming in a little bit more and narrowing out. And having looked at that pill bottle, there we go, right there. Yeah, that looks a little better. It's just a minor change. Might not seem like much to you guys who are watching it. Let me know in the comments, but it seems to be working out okay. So what I will do, because I want whatever's here to be pretty accurate to what's here, or to if not accurate, because it's not, this circle is not exactly going to be the same here than it is here. Okay, it's not, this same shape is not going to replicate here one-on-one. It's going to change slightly because it's going through space and the perspective is changing it. But what I will do is I will take maybe this point here and pay attention to this part. So this point where it intersects right here, I'm going to project that using vanishing point 1 to that point right there. And then this outer point, I'm going to project to vanishing point 1 again. And then I'm going to project it out here and sort of figure out where that falls. So we have that and we have that. So that should help me, not here. I'm placing it somewhere in between where this is right here. And it's close. So it's sort of like right there if I were to match it up with what's going on here. These little details count, so I'll just sort of curve that in there. Like so. And I'll do the same here. Now I'm being really nitpicky and because I'm just trying to be thorough, guys. So for those of you who have less experience with perspective, the more you practice it, after doing this a few times, you'll sort of naturally be able to map this out and not have to go through all this necessarily. Okay, so that, well, I think that outer edge I don't have to worry about that second part like I did here. So let's go ahead and draw it in. So it'll probably come sweep over this point, come here, sweep over this point, or sweep through that point, that intersection, and then sweep through here as it goes to that point right there. And this will come here, touch that point, and it'll give me something like that. That's what I'll get. So what I'll do is I'll still use the blue and connect everything which should be connected. So when doing this, you'll connect the tubes, or you'll connect the ellipses together from the outermost, whatever the outermost edge is, whether that falls on this line, falls on anything you've marked or not. Wherever that outermost edge is, that's what you grab. That's what you put your pen on and connect to the outermost edge of the other ellipse, okay? Regardless of where it falls in the construction, to get that pipe, that tube, that cylinder that you're trying to look for. And so that's what we've got, and I'm gonna go ahead and darken that with a dark blue so that that can be seen, like so. I'm not gonna shade anything. I will leave it as is so that you guys can come back in here and pause, screen grab, do whatever you need to do. So there's my hole, and I will just go over this with the light blue. Hopefully it doesn't darken too much because of that pencil, because of those pencil lines. So I'll leave that like that. Okay? So if this block were plexiglass or transparent, that's what we'd see, okay? If not, we'd just worry about this and maybe just shade this inner part a little bit just to make it stand out. All right, so that's how, basically, we're doing the same thing that we did with, that we did in 3-point perspective. Let me go ahead and let me take care of this side. Make that elliptical, and I'll still do it with blue. So this time I'm going to do the whole thing, like so, corner to corner. And then connect that center to vanishing point number 1. Get that line through the, oh gosh, I keep missing these points. All right, there we go. And then like that. And then I'll get something, let me sketch it in real quick. I'll get something like that, and like that. Nice continuous curve. Bulge this out a little bit more. Something like that, which should give me well, I'll just leave that the way it is, but the same way you saw me break down this construction here, I'll have to do the same thing here, and then project it out. I really want to get to the sphere because that's going to take some doing. And let me use green so that you guys can see the inner construction. So this is where you have to focus on the inner construction of the box. Basically these dots, rather than numbering them, I just made some dark dots on the outer corners so that you can see them. And then the inner corners, the inner stuff, you don't see as much. I didn't do anything to them so that it could, you can distinguish them. I did the same thing here. So here's our box over here, because there are a lot of lines here, all the outer edges and faces, okay? Here's what you need to do with a sphere. Now, yes, you can take the sphere to draw the sphere, you can take just a circle template and just go in there and draw it in, right? But once you've got a perspective space, what you need to do is you need to draw these boxes in, these square boxes in perspective. What you're doing there is you're setting up the placement of that sphere in space, okay? So you're not just arbitrarily just throwing in a circle in there. There's some reasoning behind where that sphere is going to be located in that space, and these boxes help to define very clearly that where that space is, where that position is that the sphere is going to take up. In this case, it's right next to this box, right here, down below the horizon line, and then over here above the horizon line behind this box. Okay, so it's clearly defined. And then in addition to that, again, because I want to be completely thorough, what you do is, in the same way you connect a flat box, the corners of the flat face, this time you connect the opposite corners, not on the flat face, but in perspective. So we've got this corner, and then we've got this corner in the back here, but we want to connect it to that. Okay, so instead of connecting from here to here on the flat face, we want to connect from here to here diagonally, okay? Because we want to get the center of the cube this time rather than the center of the square. So this is what we do. The same principle applies, but in 3 dimensions. And we want to go, instead of from here to here, we want to go from here to here. And when we do that, it gives us this center right hand. That is the center of your cube. Okay. And then what you can do, I know it might look a little confusing. What you can do is, let's see. Well, what I'm going to do is, then you probably want to go to the center of your flat square. So I'm going to, this square right here, I'm going to find the center of that. You probably only need to do it with one of the faces, because it'll help you, it should help you get the rest of the faces pretty clearly. So I've got that. And what I can do is, have that line go through, gives me that center point, got the center of that face, and then that center point on the edge, and then let me go a little overboard here. And okay, this part I really need you guys to pay a lot of attention. So here's the orange, and this is the top of the box, the flat face of the top of the box. We're going to get the middle of that as well. That and that. So this is what we've got, and this should run straight through the center, right, the center of the cube. Something's a little off, but that's our center right there. Okay, so you have this as a radius, you have that as a radius, but let's see. Let me try it with the compass first. Get all this stuff out the way. Okay, so remember that this is in perspective. So if I decide to go here, it's coming out a little too much. I think that's a function of the perspective. So what I can do is go to my circle template. It's a broken portion right there, and I want to be right there. Okay, so what I can do is make adjustments. I can have it be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, however I need. The important thing is that you've got this cube in here to work as a positioning tool. And so I want this to be a little further down. And so I have all these reference points to help guide me and keep me where I want the sphere to be, or keep my sphere where I want it to be. And so I'm going to go with a smaller sphere. And basically place it inside the box like that. In fact, where's the purple? Okay, so in that case I overdid it with the, with getting the extra construction measurements and whatnot. So in this case, all I'm going to do is just focus on getting the center of the box, which will be to connect from here to the diagonal opposite over here. Well, let me do it from here. So from here to here. Okay, so instead of from here to here, I'm going from here to here to here, okay, diagonally across with the green. And from here to here. So from here to this dot right here, diagonally across. And as you can see, when I do all the other diagonal crossings, everything is confirming that that is the center. Let's see, this to that. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. All right, so that's our center right there. And using that as a guide. Again, this is a perfect sphere, so it's just going to be a circle. And I can place that there. the smaller. Okay, something more like that. And I will let's see. Let me get the green, just so that you guys can see the complete circle, like that. All right, so that is how that works. Okay, so when placing spheres in space, draw all your objects in perspective, but then draw out some boxes in the areas, in the positions where you want those spheres to be. Make sure you draw the box properly, you get it right, you get it as accurately as possible, exactly where you want it to be, and then proceed to just get a circle template or a compass or whatever and draw that circle within that box. Remember, the box is in perspective, so it's not a perfect square. Okay, so things will look as if, even when you're placing the sphere in there, it might not match the points exactly. Remember, it's in perspective, but basically you're creating a container within a position, within a space where you want to put that sphere, and that's what really matters here, okay? If you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to add with regards to this, put it in the comment section. I'll be sure to read them and try and answer or reply as many of them as possible. Thanks for coming to the channel. This is the visual arts channel of Stractify, and we cover concepts and techniques in drawing and composition, and we're going to continue with our perspective drawing series. We'll continue with 2-point perspective in the next video. We have a few other things I want to talk about, and I will see you then. Take care.